Fans of Zack Snyder and James Gunn have been at war with each other ever since 2022, but ironically enough, Snyder and Gunn are good friends. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Even though fans of James Gunn and Zack Snyder have been at a constant war ever since the former was announced as the co-head of DC Studios back in 2022, there's something beautiful about the friendship between Gunn and Snyder. A certain section of the fans revolted when it was announced that James Gunn would be directing the upcoming DCU movie, Superman, previously titled Superman, Legacy, as comparisons and parallels were drawn between his vision and Zack Snyder's 2013 movie, Man of Steel. However, when Gunn needed to solve a Superman problem, he contacted Zack Snyder for some help. Was 2013 when iconic director Zack Snyder, who had previously directed Dawn of the Dead and Watchmen, brought us a film starring Henry Cavill in the leading role of Superman in a film titled Man of Steel. However, when James Gunn announced back in 2023 that David Corenswet was going to be the new Superman in the upcoming DCU movie, people weren't too happy about it. Negative comments were all over the internet, and an all-out war broke out between fans of Zack Snyder and James Gunn. Ironically enough, although the fans are at war, directors James Gunn and Zack Snyder are on good terms, and have often had talks with each other after Snyder left the DCU. In an interview with Rotten Tomatoes, James Gunn admitted that when he found a Superman problem, he didn't hesitate to ask for help from Zack Snyder. One of the biggest questions was, were we going to have Trunks, or were we going to not have Trunks? I talked to Zack Snyder, who was like, I tried a billion different versions with the Trunks, and I couldn't get there. And I was feeling exactly the same way. I went in with David, he tried it not Trunks, and he tried it Trunks, and I was still going to go with not Trunks. Theoretically, I liked the idea of Trunks because it's, the Superman I grew up with. David Corenswet weighed in on the conversation when he agreed with Gunn that, but the problem is they look kind of silly. So, that's where the director and the cast of Superman found themselves. The question to wear red trunks or no red trunks was a pretty important one since the trunks made Superman stand out, and were also his special attire. But on the other hand, they also looked kind of silly. That's when David Corenswet revealed that he had a solution. Separate interview with Fandango, James Gunn and David Corenswet sat down to talk about the issue of the red trunks and finally, how they came to solve it. Surprisingly, it was actually Corenswet who simply said to embrace the trunks. The trunks were, after all, supposed to represent Superman in a friendly way and give a sense of hope to even little children, and not some dark form of an ancient god who wielded a weapon of mass destruction. Well, you wanted Trunks in theory. But the problem is they look kind of silly. You were looking for a way to make them look cool, or you were looking for a function, an explanation for having them, to justify them. Corenswet continued. And my thing was just, maybe they're supposed to look a little silly, maybe the reason he wears them is to look a little silly, basically to undermine how powerful he really is. Well, it seems that David Corenswet and James Gunn will indeed have a chance to prove their Superman's uniqueness when the movie releases in theaters. Although we cannot say with certainty that the red trunks will look awesome or not, what we can say is that it's going to be a heck of an experience. Matthew Good's casting in Zack Snyder's Watchmen was met with extreme criticism, which the actor did not initially take well as evident in his first response. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Was aware of the backlash on his casting, which was evident in his shocking response that did not sit well with fans. Ozymandias was the superstar type of villain from Watchmen, and Good not embodying the character's physical appearance was the main issue. He heard the negative feedback from his friends, and according to the British tabloid The Sun, via the playlist, the actor remarked, "If fanboys still hate the film after going and seeing it, they can all line up and suck my D.K. I don't give a f.k." He regretted saying those words as reflected in his conversation with Huffington Post, revealing he was not really sold by his own casting. "I wasn't convinced that I was the right choice to play him. And there were a couple of remarks I made in a very offhand, facetious, jokey way." Good said he was the only one hired by Zack Snyder who didn't resemble the character, while the rest of the group was pretty much accurate, appearance and age-wise. He did spend time overthinking about that project, but he was young and carefree, so he might as well just enjoy the opportunity. Apart from admitting he should not have been cast for the part, he also discovered that the art still had Jude Law's face. He supposed the Sherlock Holmes star was meant to have the role, but he was too expensive to afford, so they settled for Good. Still, Snyder said Good fit the bill and did an excellent job playing Ozymandias. The filmmaker admitted it was a challenge to find an actor who was both handsome and sophisticated, although he did not think twice about hiring the Downton Abbey alum. Despite the harsh criticism, Good had a great experience working on the set of Watchmen. The thought of many people hating his presence in the movie still lived in his mind, but he asserted that it did not affect his performance. It was Snyder's vision, after all, and the actor revealed that the director was pretty happy with how the movie turned out, and with Good's performance too, so as a performer, he didn't think too much about the controversy. Zack Snyder seemed to be a very big fan of Rick and Morty, even summoning Dan Harmon to Warner Brothers to discuss making a film. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Rick and Morty will last 100 years. This is a fact established within and outside the series. In addition to Rick constantly declaring that the show will run for many years, the creator of the show, Dan Harmon, has also made it clear that the goal for the show is to make thousands of episodes. With this already set up, one would assume that the only problem the creators and writers would now have is making special episodes and keeping the quality consistent. However, it would seem that television isn't the only medium that the scientist and his grandson want to dominate. Harmon has set up a movie in the story's future, and it has a very big-name director attached to it. Although Rick and Morty has been running strong for many years now, many fans have been hoping for some kind of film from it. Some live-action attempts have been made by fans. However, they never hit as well as the series does. With its ability to turn everything into a joke and still be able to sneak in some existential dread, it is safe to say that Dan Harmon knows what to do with the series. Thankfully, the idea of a film has also crossed his mind. At the same time, the person who could be involved with the project seems more interesting than the pitch itself. In a 2023 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Harmon revealed that he was summoned to Warner Brothers by Zack Snyder himself. While the director has been focusing on individual projects as of late, he is best known for creating classic films like Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and 300. When he is not making iconic films like these, he seems to be just like the rest of us, devotedly following the lives of Morty and Rick. Not him saying, "I get to do it," or anything like that. He was totally a super fan and was just like, "Is there any way I can help get that movie started by using my Snyderness?" Harmon revealed that Snyder summoned him not from a position of authority, but as a fan of the series himself. The director wanted to convince Harmon to make a film with these characters, wanting to be a part of it in some way or another. He even joked that he could jumpstart the project with his Snyderness. While a layman would have jumped at the opportunity to have Zack Snyder working on a movie for their very successful show, Dan Harmon was wiser than that. He understood the appeal of Rick and Morty and knew that he could make his demands very high when telling the director his vision for the hypothetical film. Harmon stated that the film would be coming soon, and the story he put forth was extremely interesting. A year before Snyder approached Harmon about the film, The Rick, a more well-lived episode from Season 6 directly poked fun at the Snyder cut of Justice League, joking that